Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 29th annual Abuظbي Book Fair. Today we have Faris with us. Hi, Mona.
Hi, Mariam. Hello, everyone.
Ashley Busmet, who's also on this panel, is not going to be with us unless she turns up a little later. Okay. Today's subject is the effect of third culture on lifestyles. I'd like Mona to actually do her own introduction and give you a little background on who she is and what she's about. I'll give the stage to you, Mona.
Great, thank you. Thank you, first of all, Mariam, for having me and the entire organization having me here in Abuظbي at the book fair. I'm very honored and grateful to be invited to speak here. So thank you. I think I will start off with my origins. Being a third culture kid, my father's roots are Egyptian and my mother's actually German. So sometimes when they say Egyptian German, people may think both my parents are Egyptian and lived in Germany, but that's not the case. My mother is very, very German. So that's been a big impact on my life as well. My father actually, he also left Egypt when he was 22 years old. So he lived in Germany for around 15 to 20 years. And the rest of his lifetime was here in the UAE as well. So the topic today is basically about being a third culture kid. So I think I'm maybe even a fourth culture kid because there's so many mixes involved in my life. My parents actually came here in 1987 to Dubai. My father was asked to come to Dubai in 1986. So he told my mother, at that time when we were in Munich, in Germany, he told my mother, a sheikh asked me to come to Dubai. So my mother's first question was, what is Dubai and what is a sheikh? So that was very interesting to me. She actually told me the story yesterday. So from there on, I, as a 2-year-old, came to Dubai with my parents and little brother in 1987. I'm very proud of that, actually. It comes in my daily life on a daily basis here, you know, especially being called an expatriate. I get very offended sometimes with people, you know. I tell them, I was here in this country before you were born, and I'm not an expatriate. So this is actually, I think, what's interesting about me as a person, because there's so much different cultures and mixes involved in my upbringing here in the UAE. I would like to highlight also an important aspect of being a third culture kid. It's definitely where your parents are from, but also the environment you grow up in and the schools you go to have definitely a very big impact on you and later on your 20s and 30s. So actually in 91, I was in Emirates International School in Dubai, where I grew up with a lot of people in school from around 100 different nationalities. So when I was in Emirates International School, I felt I was normal because everybody was from a different country, from Italy, from Malaysia, Singapore, United States, Syria, Palestine. There were so many mixes, so I just, you know, nationality was something we would embrace, and it was really, in my school, we used to have International Day, so it was something you're proud of. You're always from, there were so many different nationalities. So I didn't really feel that I I never really questioned my nationality, actually. And then in the early mid-90s, I went to a school in Dubai which was a British curriculum, but mainly Emirati girls. It was Latifa School for Girls in Dubai. So it was, I was very privileged actually to be in that school. That's when I actually realized more about my identity or the Emirati culture. Because most of the girls I was with were Emirati, or actually some were Bedouins. Like I remember, like my friend's mom, her first child, she told us in Nada Shiba, where she had her child, one of her children, under a tree. So, you know, I was having first-on conversations with these Emirati women. I remember her name was Hamama, so that's very, very Bedouin, I guess. And this is 1997. When she had her child, maybe in the 60s, 70s. But you know, when she used to tell us the stories, it was like, wow. And her mother used to tell me directly, so it was firsthand. I mean, now you would read this in a book about the UAE or about, you know, the history of the UAE. So for me, I was listening to this firsthand growing up. So, yeah, actually, this question of third culture kid, for me, it was always a question because my mom insisted very much that I'm German. So my mother always used to say, no, you're not Egyptian, you're German. And this, you know, this still happens till today. My father is Egyptian, but I never really, like, I don't have a connection to Egypt in terms, I never went there much when I was a kid. I've just been to Egypt 3 times, and that was below the age of 10. And I don't really have much of a relation with my family or cousins there, so there's not much of Egypt I know. But when I meet people here, I have to say I'm half Egyptian. And then they start to talk to me in Masri, and I don't understand the accent. Because I understand لهجة الإماراتية, because that's what I was around. You know, I can speak Arabic, but it's mixed, like not very fluent.
Do you understand it?
I understand the Emirati accent.
Okay.
So when people start to speak to me in Lebanese or Syrian or Egyptian, I really have to try to focus, and mostly I won't understand, unfortunately. Actually, most of my Emirati friends, being around them for so long, they don't even speak Arabic. So I was always with them, and they speak English with each other. So what I caught was a bit of Emirati/English. So I need to work on my Arabic. My mom definitely made sure I speak German fluently, so. Yeah.
I just want to input here. So at what age would you say that third culture was a realization? Like you actually realized, okay, hang on, I don't belong here, but I belong here. I'm from here. This is my home, yet it's not my home. And is that what steered you or inspired you to do your fashion line, or to just create, like to bring in, because Mona Faris owns the brand Neon Edge. It's a fashion design label. Along with, she's a painter. She's also, I think you've done a few incubators as well.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a creative side of your lifestyle.
Yes.
And I think was that born because of anything to do with your upbringing or your surroundings?
Well, I'll just elaborate on that a bit. Actually, I think it all flows into each other. Um, growing up, I mean, my mom, yes, was German, and my dad was definitely not very German. You know, so simple things, like even in the house, were opposite. Like the way my mom wanted things to be very organized, or you know, I never really thought about my nationality. Probably, I would say maybe when I was 12. I think when I went to Latifa school, I was like around 11. Then I realized, okay, everyone's very Emirati here, so what am I? And the creative side, actually, my mom studied art, and my mom's an artist, so I think that started from my mom's here. Hi, Mom.
Can you please just stand up first?
There's my mom and my brother here, so.
Thank you so much for being with us as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, my mom's here. So, yeah, art is my the way I express myself, the way I design. It's, you know, being half Egyptian and half German, if I grew up in the States, I would be a completely different person. If I grew up in Germany, I'd definitely be a different person as well. So I believe growing up here in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s was very influential on the person I am, on my personality, and the way I think. I think I'm, you know, when you grow up as a third culture kid, you can blend in with different thought processes. Like I can think like a German, and I can think like an Emirati. I understand the thought process when they talk. I understand the culture. I understand the small little things. I understand. And I even advise my friends, you can't do this because, you know. So I understand the thought process. I can't say I think like an Egyptian at all, actually. So, but here, when I say I'm half-half, they're like, oh, babatek Masri, so you're Egyptian. I'm like, yeah, okay, yes, but I don't feel that connection so much. And basically, yes, a lot of my artworks over the years had to do with the influence, especially growing up in Dubai. It had a lot to do with the city I was in. You know, I remember when I was a kid in the 80s, outside our house in Jumeirah, around, we used to have like camels walking. I remember that, you know. And then seeing Dubai grow from such a desert plain into such a cosmopolitan city was so inspiring. And a lot of my work, I always want to do something that's really groundbreaking and visionary and bold. I think that has to do with also growing up in Dubai, like, let's build the Palm, let's build Burj Al Arab. That vision, it was part of my life. So these great goals and dreams would be executed in front of my eyes from such a young age. So for me, it became normal. Okay, yes, we will build the biggest tower in the world. We will. So I was starting to think on that level, like, yes, I will do this. I remember when I was I was very privileged to go to a small university called Latifa College in Nadi Shiba, which is now Tashkil. It was actually supported and created by Her Highness Sheikha Latifa bint Maktoum, bin Rashid Al Maktoum. And I was very privileged to be part of that small group of 11 girls at that time studying art in Nadi Shiba. And I remember, the first non-Emirati to be basically allowed to be accepted by Zayed University, because our school was connected with Zayed University. So in 2003, that was such a big thing. But being in this college as well, I mean, I had a lot of, I'm grateful very much for that. I had a lot of exposure in different fields. You know, it was a very small university. Our professors, I remember in my interior design class, we were 3 girls, so I had a lot of focus and attention. And I'm very thankful to that opportunity, because I really believe that if I was not in that college, I would not be the designer or artist or person I am today. So that definitely had an impact.
There's something, because we went to the same school, and I always thought that Mona Faris was half Emirati, half German. So there's something about the way that you did, that you handled your environment, was as though you brought us like a magnet towards you rather than the other way around. Because I think many people who are of mixed backgrounds or have traveled from abroad and they lived somewhere else and they came here to settle or for a few years and then leave again, they would always feel compelled to be a part of whatever was existing rather than the other way around. Did it happen to impact your designs by any chance?
Definitely. Actually, I remember like I was at the age of like 13, 14. I actually went through a phase. I was wearing the abaya and shela. So I was like, you know, I'm Emirati now, you know. And, you know, it was a time. I was a lot with one of my friends she's actually Bedouin. So I used to go to her house. I used to eat with her on the floor, you know. So I went through that phase as well, trying to maybe find my identity. And, sorry, back to your question. Yes. Yes, actually, the first collection I did for my fashion line, I was mentioning that to Maryam earlier, because I was always around so many Emirati girls, and a lot of my friends, actually, they're Emirati or they're mixed, like their mom's British or they're half American or half Bosnian or Syrian. You know, there was a lot of Hafis around as well. So for me, the first collection I did, which I produced in India, was all handmade embroidery. And without thinking, it was a collection of abayas, because that was what I was around. It was natural to me, even though I wasn't wearing abaya. And now thinking about it, I realized 10 years later, I launched in Adnek 10 years ago, my brand actually, in 2009. I launched a collection of abayas and handmade handbags. So thinking about it, driving here, I said, I never thought about it that at that time, you know, an expatriate or non-Emirati made a collection of abayas. For me, it was normal, because I was always around my friends who were wearing abaya, so I didn't think anything of it. But I find it interesting for myself that I created my first collection of really like bold and colorful abayas. And I remember at that time, it was really outrageous. I mean, very colorful, very bold. A lot of magazines had interest as well. Like my brand was featured, or my designs were featured in Brown Book magazine at that time, and many other magazines as well, because the way I felt like the way that the abaya, the black, was my canvas, and I just embellished it with very colorful beads and sequences. For me, it was like my canvas, and I was expressing. I wasn't thinking too much about the actual function of the abaya, that it's supposed to be conservative. I just did my first collection as an expression. Yes, very colorful and funky, yeah. I was also, you know. Yes. I didn't bring
Is
any
it Neon
pictures.
Edge on Instagram?
On Instagram, yeah.
Neon Edge on Instagram. I can give you the name. I'm going to just open the stage for questions.
Neon Edge, Neonedge. Neon Edge. And there's a lot of paintings as well under the hashtag Mona Faris Art as well.
Where would you consider home is?
Oh, that's
I
a
know,
good question.
and not what people ask you to say or what you're meant to say or where you're from. It's home. Like, where do you feel yourself?
Definitely Dubai. I mean, definitely. I remember my mom was like, at the age of 17, she's like, okay, we're going back home now. What do you mean, home where? We're going to Germany. Like, this is our home. Me and my brother went on like a strike, like, we can't go to Germany. Like, this is our home. So we, made it a point, we insisted to stay, and we just stayed, and years go by, and the more I'm here, the more I feel like this is my country. And I don't know, I have that feeling towards it. And I'm very proud to have grown up here. And I'm very lucky to have grown up before the whole digital phase and the whole, Now when I go out in Dubai, I'm like, where are these people coming from? Where do they all work? I feel like, I remember the Dubai, like Chicago Beach Hotel and Hilton Beach Club, and like Safa Park. I remember when Safa Park was built. So it was such a beautiful time. Dubai's golden days was definitely, I remember, like late 80s till like 2005. That was like sweet Dubai. Thank you.
I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions.
Thank you for telling about
you.
your life during Emirate. But you mentioned when you are in the school with nationality, you didn't feel that you are a stranger because there is a different nationality. And then when you moved to Sheikh Al-Latif school, you could recognize that you are like a stranger or needed to consider about the identity. Why you get this feeling that you are looking and searching about identity in this school? What happened?
Because, very good question, actually. Your question makes me think about it. Because, we go through life, just going through my life, and this is my life. But now, actually, when Maryam called me, I started to think, I'm like, yes, I'm third culture kid. And your question actually makes me think as well. I think because in Emirates International School, there was a lot of mixed nationalities, so everyone just embraced each other's. It was normal. But in Latifa school, I was around mainly Emiratis. So I was the only non-Emirati, or one of the few in Latifa school. There was a few, like 2 Polish girls and one or 2 others. There was quite a few mixes, like half British or mixed nationalities, but they still their fathers were Emirati or their mothers were Emirati. So I think that's where I realized why. Maybe because that was like the main nationality there and I was very different. But along the years, because I was there, I was in that environment for 10 years, so I don't know, I started to think like an Emirati, and they're like, hey, nahan, and I'm like, yes, nahan, and like I started to think I'm one somehow. But then when I go out and they're like, oh, you're not Emirati? I'm like, no, my passport is German. Because along the way, I had many opportunities as well. I was playing for Zaid University basketball team. Then they wanted to have me for the national team. And then they're like, oh, but we thought you're Emirati. I'm like, no, my passport, it's German. So in these situations, I was always like a bit angry. I'm like, just because of this thing, like you want me for the national team of UAE playing basketball, I would be so honored. And also there was a few sponsorships going to like LA for art, but it was only in a program for Emirati. So that I understand from a government perspective, that's important to put forward the girls, but that's when I used to feel like, but I'm like me and my friend, we're in the same school, same everything the whole life. Just because of this, I can't have this opportunity. And when I go to Germany, I'm like the one from Dubai. Like, I'm not German there, you know? Even within the family, they're like, oh, this is the ones from Dubai, the German family from Dubai, you know? So I felt like I never could blend in there. And then here I could blend in, but sometimes because of paperwork or passport, I would feel the difference.
So in this case, you are like, sometimes you need to pretending, you know, and you have like, if you are with the Emirati, you are attitude and treatment like an Emirati. If you're outside, you pretend, you go to the natural personality. And if you are in Germany, you need to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I adapt very well. That's a good point. I actually do adapt very well. My friends, a lot of my friends actually, they're Emirati. They're like, Mina, we put you anywhere, you become that country. You know, like I remember we went to Africa, me and my friends, of course, all of them Emirati except for me. And I don't know, I started to dress like, you know, the African prince. And they're like, Mina, mashallah, everywhere you go, you like become a part of that country. Because I always felt my whole life here, I have to blend in. So I always like blend in.
It's a way to survive for you?
Sorry?
It is your way to survive?
I think now that I'm older, I'm just me, who I am. But maybe at the age between 12 to 22, 23, yeah, I had to blend in. Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
مرحبا.
مرحبا.
هلا منى.
أهلين.
يا مرحبا منى، ايش حالك؟
مرحبا، الحمد لله بخير.
تكلمي عربي منى.
بحاول بشوي.
منى، كلامك كثير صحيح يعني. كثير عاشوا في الإمارات وانتمائهم للإمارات. هي الباسبور وسيلة نقل، واحد يروح ويتحرك، بس مجتمع الإمارات مجتمع مفتوح، يعني الواحد ما يحس عمره مش يعني مندمج مع الجنسيات الأخرى، مثل ما نحن ما عندنا مشكلة نندمج مع الجنسيات غير الإماراتيين. أتصور بيئة الإمارات بيئة شوي أكثر صحية، أكثر العالم مع بعض، المدارس مختلطة، الجنسيات مختلطة، اللغة مختلطة. لازم الواحد يبحث عن نفسه، يعني ما في مشكلة، يعني مثل ما قال أمين معروف امبارح أنا قلته، يعني هويتك، بيتك، أسرتك، مكان اللي أنت عايش فيه، المكان اللي حبيته يعني. لازم ما يكون عندك الشعور إن أنت not blended يعني في المجتمع، ويكفي إنك أنت فكرتي إن يكون عندك براند عبايات وهذا الانفلونس صراحة،
صح.
إن أنت يعني أجنبية وفكرتي بالعباية والشيلة، هذا يعني أحسن أمباسادورز حقنا نحن، إنه يعني كيف مجتمع الإمارات إلا البنات الإمارات يحاولون يفسخون العبايات ويحبون يكونون فريدم، مع أن اللي عايشين عندنا بالعكس أكثر يحبون إنه يلتزمون بعادات هذا. طيب شو السبب؟ إنه يعني العكس صحيح، يعني البنات يحبون يكونون، الإماراتيات يمكن ما يحبون يلبسون العباية، ما يحبون هذا، والعكس إن الأجانب اللي عندنا يحبون يكونون جزء من المجتمع يعني.
اوكي، فهمت السؤال.
فهمتي
اوكي
ولا لا؟
بس يعني يوم اكلم الحين صعب.
انا بسمع
يعني
بالعربي عشان تبغى تكون اماراتيه تكلمي عربي. كيفك حتى لو تغلطين.
اوكي. Oh my God, the terminology is missing. اوكي، احس يعني يوم البنات الحين ما يعني في وايد اماراتيات ما يبون يلبسون العباية، عشان انا يعني احس يوم حد يعني it's a must. يعني what do you say? يفرض هي. It's a must. عشان كذي they want to يعني rebel. ما أبغي ألبس عباية يعني. بس if you leave it open for them, أنا أحس after time they will embrace their culture back. Especially now. Sorry, it's really hard. I'll continue English. Especially now, in this time, you know, especially with so much digital and this whole Instagram and the internet, the girls, يعني, I feel they want to express themselves. And maybe they feel the abaya and the shila is not allowing them to express themselves. But بالعكس, I see a lot of abayas, wallah, beautiful. Some are very, very pretty, and I mean, the abaya shila, the traditional concept of it is black. I'm not sure actually why it's black, but I heard even actually, please forgive me if I'm wrong, but this was from like a very Bedouin source, that the bisht, the black bisht, was for the ladies actually, long time ago, the bishut. So actually I did a collection for Neon Edge with bishts, like in 2010, you know. But I feel definitely if you force something on someone, anything, religion, or eat this food, or don't eat this food, if you enforce things on someone, they will want to do the opposite. So I have a lot of friends, actually, Emiratis, they don't wear abaya now. And I think a lot of the Westerners and the Europeans here would like to wear it, you know, especially the tourists, just to feel it, because it's interesting to them. It's something different. But I think the next generation, what I see, even the generation 1 decade younger than me, the Emirati guys and girls are completely different. And in the terms of they're very open to different perspectives. They dress differently. A lot of the new generation are, I guess, maybe they're more exposed. They've been more exposed than us.
So do you see them actually embracing back the Emirati culture? Like the Emirati dressing, or are you saying they look more Westerner? Or wherever it is that they're...
I think the dress code still is related to what their family wants them to wear. But let's be frank. You can go to places and they will just leave the abaya in the car. A lot of the girls do it. So I think we're going to reach the point, not of maybe your children, we'll reach the point where later on they will want to wear the abaya. It will be like a beautiful connection, yes. Because I think now in general, I'm speaking very honestly, yeah? Like in Dubai, I see so many places, and they are Emirati, and also a lot of my friends, they don't want to wear it. They feel that it gives a perception of someone they're not, which there's no right or wrong, you know. They're just following. Like some of them are just like, you know. I mean, I'll be honest. So many times I'm like, okay, let's sit here, and they're like, but I don't want to wear the abaya, and it's all like I have to, you know, then see, and then they're gonna see me without it, and then it's gonna go to my father. Not that they're dressing inappropriate without the abaya. There's that too, but I mean, no, they just want to wear jeans and like a sweatshirt, and just want to have a coffee. So I think now there's a lot of more women in Dubai that are the young girls, like 25, 28, that are just doing that with their parents' consent or not. I think maybe in Abu Dhabi is more conservative. I have 2 of my friends that are mixed nationality. They live here actually. They grew up in Dubai with me, my best friends. And they're like, Manad, Abu Dhabi is so conservative. So if they're telling me that, So I think, yeah, definitely Dubai is, I think Dubai also has so many different nationalities. So
Get lost in there.
So yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm so
Thank
sorry
you.
to
It's
cut
okay.
it short. We're out of time.
No worries. Thank you.
It's so good to have you with us. Thank you so much for your time, and we really enjoyed that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mariam, and all of the book fair, and thank you for listening to my identity crisis, which I'm still figuring out. But yeah, I think by heart I am Emirati, and by mind it's like you're German. So okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.